BTB listeners, thank you so much for checking out today's episode. Listen, if this episode inspires you, do me a favor, take 5 seconds to shoot me a like and subscribe to the podcast. There are several more exciting guests that are in the pipeline, and I just can't thank you enough for your continued support, and let's keep paying the mission forward.
I've seen people my age do wonderful things, not to say that I'm old. I'm just not as young as I used to be. That's what that means to me. Impossible is not, right? It only looks like a delusion until it's not. There you go. So you can add that there. Possible is nothing. It only looks like a delusion until it's not, right? Our whole society is brought off of what looked like a delusion until it wasn't, until it became reality. That's it.
In today's episode, I welcome Jonathyn, otherwise known as XXL Tennis. He shares his inspiring story in not just the world of tennis, but how he's impacting lives in his hometown of Connecticut. XXL Tennis recounts how his videos showcasing his tennis skills went viral and drew the attention of tennis legends like Venus Williams and several others. Despite facing skepticism and challenges related to his size and financial constraints, XXL Tennis's passion and perseverance allowed him to play Division II tennis and became an influential figure in the tennis community. XXL Tennis emphasizes the importance of mental toughness, discipline, and consistency in the sport. He also discusses his life journey and how it's motivated him to inspire others and break traditional stereotypes. The conversation explores how different experiences and adversities shapes one's growth, both as a player and a coach. Welcome to the BTB Project, designed to empower listeners to identify their why and to live their best lives no matter the circumstances. My name is Kollman Gearhart. A former athlete and motivational coach, I've had the opportunity to inspire thousands through my story and help accomplish what they are built to be. You'll be encouraged by each and every episode, and let's get into it. The BTB Project is yet again with another unbelievable influencer, someone that came across on one of those days of scrolling and had just this extraordinary one-handed backhand and forehand, and it piqued my curiosity because I saw someone that was vibrant, I saw someone that was passionate. Anybody that ticks like that is someone that I am anxious to talk to. But it just brings me a tremendous honor to get into the story of just a awesome light in this world. And I can't wait to chat it up. Jonathyn, aka XXL Tennis, welcome to the BTB Project.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I know tennis is a passion of yours, but I'd love for you to catch up the listeners on some of these videos that I've come across watching you strike the ball. What made you want to film it, and what has been some of the impact because of that?
Of course. This review, my first ever post was April. Can you believe that? Like, I was not even been a year yet. I really just initially wanted to post it to show my journey, right? Something maybe I can show people who don't believe that I actually play. I just initially wanted to do that. My first post, this kind of went viral. It went viral, and I thought it was a fluke. Totally thought it was a fluke. I was like, nah, this is all right, cool. I'll post again. Went viral again. And I'm like, this is not a fluke. By my 7th post, I think it was my 7th, I had a Venus Williams comment on my post. And I'm like, wow, this is nuts. This is nuts. And then like, I came down to Atlanta that year, and I get stopped at the Atlanta Open, right? By someone who recognized me. And I just come up to me randomly, and they're like, hey, are you the guy that posts on Instagram? I'm like, yeah. He's like, we want to hit with you. So a couple of days after that, I go to hit with him, and I get on the court, and these three other guys, and they're stunned that I'm there. One of the guys literally said, "It's like I'm playing with a star," and I'm like, and then I realize it's bigger than me, right?
Sure.
I'm gonna post my journey, but people are getting motivated by it. People are playing tennis, and that's really what any tennis player wants, right? It's to be immersed into the sport themselves, but also get other people immersed into the sport. So that's the drive. My personal drive of getting better every day, and then also the drive of just motivating others to do more.
I always am intrigued by the why behind anybody that I talk to because, a good old Simon Sinek quote, a strong why can overcome any how. And I know that tennis has been a light for you in your life, and it's been certainly a light for me. But knowing that this project, call it the BTB Project, I filled you in on what my nickname was growing up. And I had those very similar conversations walking the hallways of high school, people wondering if I'm going to play offensive lineman for the football team. And I said, no, I'm actually going to head out to the tennis courts and try out for the team. Because at the time, I actually was trying to beat my brother, who was 4 years older than me. And he beat me in every single sport, basketball, baseball. He was always just kicking my butt. And tennis was the only one that I finally beat him in something. And ironically, it was for the last spot on the team on varsity. And him and his friends kind of hazed me a little bit and duct taped me to a flagpole. But nonetheless, I was able to overcome the older brother syndrome, and the rest was history. But let's face it, when it comes to being a light and being inspirational, I'm sure that you've had a lot of people maybe look at you being like, "Man, like, what are you doing out here?" And maybe giving you those weird looks or maybe poking you enough to where you feel like, this is kind of getting to me a little bit. And you might feel a little self-conscious. Do you have those moments where you have just a human moment of like, man, I wish people would treat me a little bit different?
Yeah, definitely. A little bit more about myself. I played Division II college, and I wasn't that much, smaller than I am now, right? I did in my college career around, I want to say 270, ranging around there. So I get those looks all the time. And it's till I get on a tennis court, I don't feel like that. And that's the best thing about being on a tennis court. When I'm on the tennis court, I don't feel like that. I feel like I'm playing tennis. I feel like I can beat anyone on the other side of the court, right? And though people may look at you and think, oh, you should have played football, did football not work out? It's not that I didn't play football. I played almost every sport you can think about. Tennis was consistent from age 6 to now. Tennis has been the consistent thing in my life. So when I step on the court and I'm looked at a little differently, is till I swing the racket. And then those looks change, like, oh wow, he's different. So yeah, definitely have those looks, high school and college.
Yeah, and I think of those very, very similar looks. My older brother, he gave me the tough older brother love, but my peers were always making sure that they knew what they thought of me trying to play tennis at a high level, even though I was over 300 pounds. And to be perfectly honest with you, I got to a point my senior year where those types of comments and stereotypes made me actually want to quit the game and probably hang up a lot of things outside of just tennis. My confidence, my self-worth, I was pretty shot. But as we spoke before we hopped on, I made a change after high school. I took a gap year. I went to Arizona. I had two coaches from Poland who said basically two words in English. It was run and the S word. And they just ran me into the ground 6.5 hours a day, 6 days a week. I was at 1,300 calories a day, but I was driven and passionate to accomplish this goal of Division I college tennis. So overcoming adversity, I love the fact that you play D2 tennis. I love the fact that you're giving back to the game now. But what means more to you, Jonathyn? Being able to overcome that adversity yourself or helping someone else overcome it?
Helping someone else overcome it, right? I know we shared a little bit. I grew up in a not-for-profit NJTL, and if you're in the USTA, you know what that is. And a lot of that is low-income families and kids that necessarily didn't have the resources, right? Under-resourced. So not only did I have to overcome the adversity of being a bigger player, which I was my whole life, I had to also overcome the adversity of being not able to afford the sport, right? Because when you think about like going away to play tournaments, which kids have to do now, you have to afford a lot of it. If you can't afford it, you don't go. So if you don't go, you don't get better because our sport is experience. That's how you get better in our sport. It is not so much how many times you hit the ball against the wall. It is definitely experience. And that right there is a drive for me always. I've been coaching for a good amount of time since I was 13, showing people how to get through adversity, getting into college, through tennis, playing D2, coming back and showing them that this can be done. It was huge for me, and that's still huge for me now. Every time I step on the court, every time I step into my NJTL's office, they're like, "Oh, I saw your post. I saw your post, such and such, reposted it. That was amazing. I want to do that." Like that to me is the feeling that it's not just about me anymore. Other people are watching, right? So I could easily not post and still have the journey, right? Other people that they can do it. That's more important.
Yeah, documenting the journey, spending a little over 2 years now on the project podcast. I've been able to go back and share stories of my journey. And sometimes I wish I had the iPhone out filming some of those moments. But, my moment being almost 20 years ago, I have realized very quick that things have changed. Being a father of three, I see my kids on that phone all the time. And here I am myself trying to advocate being on the phone less. I come across pages like yourself, and I just think that it's so awesome. The message of being positive and taking those moments to where you might have felt insecure and you're like, you know what, man, I'm going to help empower others to be the strongest version of themselves. Right. And when I think back to me as a coach and hear you talking about how you coach, I'd love for you to dive, Jonathyn, a little bit into the mental side of the game, because since I didn't have some of the physical elements that I wanted to as a player, I had to really sharpen the axe in other areas of the game. And one place that I was unstoppable was my mind. I was able to become resilient. I was able to handle difficult circumstances under pressure, man. You give me 3 balls and I'm up a set in 5-3, 40 love. I'm going to go 130 out wide and it's no problem, right? Like I had that type of confidence mentally. So as I talk through that, I'd love to hear what mental toughness means to you as a coach and as a player.
Mental toughness is everything, right? When you talk about adversity, that's what tennis players go through, right? It's one-on-one, 1v1, right? There's no one to tag in, right? Half of the time your coaches can't talk to you. And even if they did, they couldn't tell you as much that will change the game so fast that will start making you win, right? So you had to take almost everything that you learned growing up and put it into that match, right? That the losses. And then also, I think the biggest thing for our players now is, yes, social media. So you get to hear Federer say you lose half of the matches that you play. It's just I was just lucky to win a couple in a row, maybe 3 or 4 times in the tournament, right? It's just like you lose almost every point you play. That's depressing. Imagine if you're a basketball player and they're saying you lose almost every other game that you play. That that would be depressing, right? So when we see like Nick Kyrgios talk about mental toughness and how he had to go through things, the only way to get through that is having some adversity brought on you. I think that makes the best players. Like you talk about Nadal, how Uncle Tony used to break all his strings and say play, right? Somebody asked me the other day, how do I take the comments on my page? I said, we used to make fun of each other growing up. It was part of growing up. So when I hear somebody make fun of me and I can't even see your face, I'm not worried. It's a comment. I'm good. I'm okay. Right. And that to me is the biggest form of mental toughness is going through it. That's the only way. The only way. And then when I'm on court, that's the only thing I'm thinking about is it's tougher times than this. Right? I had tougher times than this. This is supposed to be my outlet. I'm supposed to forget about the world here. Right. So I'm gonna continue to forget about the world. And then it helps me make better decisions, right? I'm gonna take the 130 out wide. Why not? Right? If I pull back and lose the point, I'm gonna be upset that I pulled back. So why not win it the way I've been winning it the whole match? In a sense. And so that's how I think of mental toughness. That's also how I teach mental toughness as well, right? If somebody's working on their stroke or their grip or whatever the case may be, think about how you're going to play the game, because at the end of the day, that's what it means. At the end of the day, you have to get the ball over and in. 2 rules of tennis. Get the ball over and in. That's it. So if you can do that, no matter how you do it.
That's so well said. A lot of good meat and potatoes in those comments of referencing the tour players. And I always teach, you got to risk it to get the biscuit. And the element of risk that you take always coincides with your ability to believe in yourself. And, you know, a guy like Kyrgios, I love what he brings to the game because he has been through a lot and he can relate to you and I. He felt like he was treated different growing up and had this excitement for basketball and wanted to wear the basketball shorts to the tennis court. I love his podcast, Good Trouble, you know, being able to ask people on his podcast, what does good trouble mean to you? Sometimes his antics on the court to most don't make sense, but as you really think about it, you have to have that level set of confidence and say to yourself, okay, no matter what my opponent's going to throw at me, I'm going to stick true to my identity so that I can be capable of taking the risk. So I would love for you to maybe share a moment, maybe it was back in the D2 days or a time where you competed where you absolutely bet on yourself and that bet paid off in a monumental moment. Does a match come to mind that you can share with us?
Absolutely. It's actually after college. After college, I went to a couple of clubs, and one of them was Hardscrabble in Brewster, New York. And in that moment, we were playing, we were to play tournaments as being the workers there. So I was like, okay, I'll play a couple tournaments. And I ended up playing these 4 or 5 tournaments. And I knew 4 or 5 was not open, but in the eastern section of USTA, open tournaments bring very, very good players. So even 4 or 5 is some really extremely good. There's this player that I was playing in the semifinals, and he could slice off of my serve. My serve is about 110, 120 averagely. So being able to drop shot off of my first serve, you were Dustin Brown. And to me, I was like, wow. Right. And then, you know, I get all the comments in the world about drop shotting and things like that. So he probably thought the same thing. I'm going to drop shot him on clay. Right. So even tougher. And I end up winning the first set 7-6. And I'm like, I'm so beat. So beat. I'm running to drop shot after drop shot, right? I'm quick, but even my size, like after a while, you get tired. And the thing about it though, my hands are very quick. So once I get to the net, I'm finishing the point no matter what. I'm in the second set and I'm like, I have no idea how I'm gonna do this. And I end up winning the second set 6-1 because he didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know, like, I'd get into every drop shot he put at me and things like that. He didn't know what to do. So I just kind of just took every ball and cracked it down the middle. He ended up putting it up and I ended up cracking the ball away. Right. And 7-6, 6-1 semifinals on this tournament that I think I should have lost. Well, I woke up the next day, everything below my glutes were killing me because I run to so many drop shots. But you know, it's funny. I started to tell the story. I knew exactly what it was. And I got a question. I want to tie it back. I want to tie it back. Remind your question. I'm so sorry.
Just the time where you were able to have the stars align. You're playing and you bet on yourself, and it paid off, man.
That paid off. Like I was swinging for the fences that last set. I did not want any long points. Every point needed to be at least like the one and done, right? It was great. It was great. It's almost like when you're down match point and you start swinging for the fences on the return to serve, and all of a sudden you're up 40 love, right? That's literally what I was doing because he didn't know how to counter what I was giving him. And then after a while, I feel like in tennis, when you're almost physically tired, swings start to click because you can't put much into them but speed. So it was clicking. It was clicking, and I was able to finish up and go home and play the finals the next day, which I won. So it was a very interesting time, especially again, when you see somebody drop shot off of your first serve, I'm like, oh man, this is going to be a very interesting match. And then I think I went down 3-love too. I went down 3-love because I started to serve first and I had to adjust. But I came back and won the tie break. So it was just my chance.
Now, did you tap into a celebratory dance after that victory?
You know, my girlfriend at the time was watching me, and she said, like, I would love to hear you yell the way you yelled on court, but I can't. The only time I do it is on court when I'm yelling, right? When you had that celebrating, like, just like, I can't even do it if I wanted to right now. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't do it. It was just so much going on and so much emotions that you're just like, okay, I got to let it out. And it comes out in the end.
Sure, man. Discipline and consistency. That's something that comes up often, either on your videos or when you're posting. And when I think about it, those are the types of things that as coaches, we really can't teach. And I'm just curious when it comes to your lifestyle, what makes you tick? What are some daily habits or things that you're tapping into with your routine that helps you bolster the discipline and consistency in your life?
Two things: the people around you. My hitting partner wants to play every day, right? And though you want to say no, it's so easy to say yes when somebody's like, let's play, let's play, let's play, right? A little bit about my hitting partner. I trained him when he was a junior. He went to go play Division 3, but it was a very, very, very good Division 3. And he ended up winning the NCAA championship. And he's better than me. He's better than me. And I trained him and he's better than me. Like I couldn't, like right now, if we go for a set, he's winning 6-1, 6-2. Like it's not, it's just he's better than me and he's also my hitting partner. So he knows everything I'll throw at him. But at in that same point, the people around you helps tremendously. Just like when you want to go to the gym, you want to go to the gym with somebody and they're like, oh, let's go tomorrow. You think, okay, tomorrow. But no, he's never like that. That's first and foremost. And then second, the tennis is a day-to-day thing, right? So when you get better, it's not so much right then and there. It's almost like you have to go in day out to see the results at the end of the month. That's the hardest thing about tennis, right? Any other sport, you practice some things in football, you can get better instantly, right? You do some things, natural stuff takes over, you can get better. But when tennis, you can have a really good day and then a really bad day and then an average day and then again a really good day. And it's kind of just goes and goes and goes. Yes, exactly. So knowing that, just think about the last time you were on a tennis court, right? And you're like, oh man, I was so much better the last time I was on this tennis court. So much better. And I need to stop doing this to myself. Don't take any breaks. Just remember that time that you took a break, you came back to the tennis court and sucked. That right there will drive you to be disciplined and consistent. And don't get me wrong, right now, I'm going to probably play tonight. And I haven't played since last Friday, right? I live in the Northeast. It's very hard to get courts out. And court tennis is very popular up here. And I'm so excited to get on tennis court, but knowing that I can't just go out there and have fun, right? I need to go out there and hit 100 forehands. I need to go out there and hit 100 backhands before I record anything, right? So I probably even won't get to record but the last half hour of our session. And that is the discipline that I'm talking about. It's not so much playing every day. It's when you can play, you remember what your focus is, because that speaks volumes. And of course, in the summer, play every day. Play every day. But right now, Remember where your focus is. Remember how it felt when you were last on the tennis court. Remember what you're working on, right? And go out there and hit those balls and be disciplined, even though you want to play points and have fun, right? I'm gonna hit 200 balls tonight at least, and that's the goal, right? 100 forehands, 100 backhands, and if I get to serves and play some points, then so be it. If not, I'm going out swinging, trying to get to 100, which most of the time we do, so it doesn't really matter. But it's just how I think about the discipline part of it.
Yeah, I do an exercise sometimes with my students where I'll get a brand new tennis ball and we'll basically go out, and the whole lesson that we do is how many balls we can hit in a row. And it's become kind of an iconic moment because when I was a junior, my coach did the same thing with me. And at the time, we were able to hit 503 balls in a row. And it wasn't like 1, 2, 3. It was every time I struck the ball, it's 1. The second time I struck the ball, it's 2. And I developed what I call a 503 mindset. So I knew that the average tennis point was 2.5 shots. It might be less than that these days. And knowing that I could keep the ball in 503 times gave me a level of confidence, and I was able to tap into the discipline aspect and things like that. As I say that, that training mentality, man, you don't just wake up one day and want to go out and hit 100 balls, especially in today's, I think, American tennis. I see a lot of kids that are more or less not wanting to put in the grind, but wanting all of the accolades of the grind. So your ability to practice what you preach and people seeing you put in the work, would you say that that is the best teacher that you can provide as a coach rather than anything that you say to somebody?
Yes. I think following by example is key, right? And say if you went to work and your boss said, no, I need to do it like this. And he did it for you right in front of you as he made you watch. That would be almost humiliating. Yeah, you did the work, you know how to do it, but like it would be almost humiliating because I should have did it like that. I want to get better at this thing. It's a choice, right? So I tell all of my kids now, when you walk through that door, did your mom bring you here? No, you walk here. So you walk through that door on a choice. What did you come here for, right? Did you come here to have fun? Did you come here to giggle with your friends? What did you want to get better for this tournament that's coming up? This is how you're going to do it. And I step on the court with them a lot, right? A lot. Especially when you have odd numbers, I'm on the court. I'm bending it around with them because at that point you gotta see that I'm willing to do it too. Right. And no, for now, right? You're talking about adolescent kids. So for now, yeah. When they get older, not so much. But right now, yeah. I mean, now I think that's the best teacher for you. And the mental part as well. So,
Yeah, I was able to have the great Greg Patton on the podcast, who was the former head coach at Boise State, did a lot of junior U.S. Davis Cup development, and is considered one of the best college coaches in the country. And it was kind of funny talking to him because he would talk about his best practices with his teams. And you would think it would be like this crazy monumental workout or training session. But what he would do, man, is he would actually put on some reggae, and they would be jamming out to reggae because the beats per minute is the ideal type of rhythm that you experience on the tennis court. And he would go around and ask each one of the players as they're hitting why they love tennis. And if they talk about anything specific, like, oh, I love ripping my forehand, or I love beating, X, Y, and Z, like that immediately frustrates him. The answer that always made him happy was, I love tennis because I love the feeling when I hit the ball. When I watch you hit the ball, man, I'm thinking about rhythm and timing and all the things that we try to teach as coaches. But I see it happen effortlessly. And I think you mentioned earlier in your matches, like sometimes when you get tired, you actually can hit a better ball because you're in flow. You don't have the angst or the nerves or the tension, and you're just in rhythm. Where in the world did you get your rhythm from, man? And it's the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen because it looks like you're just enjoying the feeling of hitting the ball at that moment.
You know, that's very funny because I look back on my videos and I'm like, oh, wow, I'm really doing what I preach there. I preach 1, 2, 3 split step. And really, like, when you talk about Federer, his 1, 2 split step or even one split step, right? And it's engraved into any tennis player that moves. That kind of where you can see who's a tennis player and who's not, right? I feel like that's the first thing you look at. You look at the shoes that they're wearing and how they're moving their feet, right? When the ball is hit directly at them, if they're flat-footed, okay, I don't really see much. Can they move? Like, what's going on there? But if you see that 1, 2, 3 split step rhythm, then you understand that, like, hey, that's a tennis player. I think that came around right before I went to college. I was doing a lot of tournaments right before I went to college, and I come out of tournament, my coach was like, "You're not moving your feet," and I'm like, "I think I was." What do you mean? You know, he's like, "You're not moving your feet," and he said, "Lifting your feet is not moving your feet." And I said, "What do you mean?" So much so we go back and arguing about it. And he's like, "This is what I mean by moving your feet. It is moving the upper half of your body. However you figure it out, people can march in place. But moving the upper half of your body is moving your feet. So as long as you're doing that, you'll look like a tennis player." And I said, okay. I took that in consideration and I started to look at how other people would move. And one of these things that my college coach was teaching me is the way he moved was almost like he's going like this with his body. And I'm like, interesting. So I just started implementing that. And then after a while, it became 1, 2, 3 split step. As long as I can do that while I'm doing anything, I'm fine. Everything's fine. The moment I can't do that, I am either really, really tired or really, really lazy. So that's what you see in my things when I'm hitting this 1, 2, 3 split step, 1, 2, 3 split step. There's never a time where I stop moving my feet until the point is done. And I think that's what makes a tennis player, or that's the difference between a tennis player and somebody who's picking up the sport recreational. You see that 1, 2, 3 split step. Actually, when I watch videos now, I'm looking for it, right? Oh no, they're a tennis player. I can see it. Versus if I don't see the movement, I probably judge a book by its cover and like, yeah, they're not really a tennis player.
Well, whether it's Sierra saying, "Let me see you 1, 2 step," or heck, look at Kendrick, Lamar the other night at the Super Bowl, and our good friend Serena Williams out there showing some pretty good footwork too, man. The culture of hip hop and some of the music I see that coincides with your videos, I can tell that culture means a lot to you, and it means a lot to me as well. That moment at the Super Bowl, at the time we're recording this, was a really neat moment for tennis because, listen, when Serena had that moment back in Wimbledon in 2013 or 2012, whenever that was, she got a lot of heat for how she was dancing. And she's always been someone that's been innovative and kind of breaking barriers of a lot of different elements of her life. When I'm saying that and you think of your journey and how you've been able to inspire now, do you think that the way that tennis is perceived, kind of being you got to look a certain way and act a certain way, that we're at a point now where we're able to actually kind of break some of those barriers and open this game up to a whole nother scale of players and audiences?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think tennis now, especially the way everyone's moving on social media, brings a lot of light to our sport. And even, that other sport that people are picking up brings a lot of light to our sport. When we talk about we use the same, I want to say the same type of things, like the dress, the shoes, almost the same thing, right? Same surface type, right? And that putting the sport in the limelight is definitely going to change a lot of things. I think I was reading the other day that Nike sales have dropped. And you don't see a lot of Nike players now. And for fashion, like a fashion staple that had our best players in it, not so much. I started to look into why, and a lot of tennis players are going against the norm, right? It's interesting that such a fashionable sport, because we don't have a jersey. You can have different fashions throughout any pro player out there. And now pro players are moving away from the bigger fashion people, right? Like Nike, Adidas, things like that. And they're going with the smaller ones because it shows a little different, right? I think our sport is moving in a direction where different is good. Different is good. And it's almost funny because you think about like when we first saw Nadal do this, everybody was like, he's not going to last. His arm's not going to last. And he's not going to last. He outlasts Roger. Like he outlasts the best looking player of our time. And it's like, no, different is good. Different is good, right? We talk about Jonathyn coming over from, skiing and different is good. Like it shows our sport in a different light. That's one. It gives our sport a little bit of inclusivity. So when you talk about like Serena being in the limelight at the Super Bowl, right? A lot of different opinions are coming from left and right. But I promise you that adversity part she does not care about. She does not care about it. She's going to do what makes her happy. And that's what the sport needs to be, right? You do what makes you happy. So if you want to go out there and go against the norms, by all means, do it. And that's another thing too. When people see a bigger tennis player out there, how many people are now telling their story, right? After hearing a different story, right? When I hear that, like your story, right? You were over 300 pounds, things like that. It empowers me, and I'm doing it. Think about that. Like that empowers me to be more confident in what I'm doing. Just hearing your story, and I'm doing it for other people. So I think different is good. I think different helps our sport a lot.
Man, yeah. The power in that message, because for a long time, I feel like whether it's kids that I coach or even myself, that we want to conform to other people or things, that we want to try to fit in this box to be accepted in some cases. And what really allowed me to kind of ignite what I was able to do, and I appreciate your kind words, is being like a coach I never had. So I had a lot of coaches where I'd go and I'd pay the $130 for the private lesson, and I'm ready to bring my goal to them and hopefully have them help me foster it, right? And I remember this one guy, big time tennis pro, came to him, gave my money to him, and at the end of the lesson, I said, "What'd you think?" And he said, "There's no way you're gonna ever be able to play college tennis. No way." And in that moment, Jonathyn, I was about as defeated as I could be. And hearing some of your background, working with the underprivileged and things like that, that amount of money I paid for that lesson, I had to scrounge up everything I had to make that happen. And I felt like my dream was crushed. So I had this mantra on the podcast that impossible is nothing, because I had someone tell me that I couldn't do something. But then when I was able to do it, I was able to actually reconnect with them. I faced off them in a high school tennis match. They were coaching a really good team, and I was coaching a really good team, and we ended up winning the match as a team. And I go up to the guy and I give him a handshake and I just say, "Thank you. I appreciate you." Because if he wasn't planting those seeds, and if I didn't know how to nurture them, none of this would exist. So when you think about your life, man, and you've had a lot of coaches, you've had a lot of influencers, but you might have had a few folks that chop you down every now and then. Is there some moments that you can think of where it was an adverse moment or a moment that stuck with you that you were able to persevere from to be the man you are today?
Absolutely. I was part of a scholarship program for, I guess, around the clubs. Very, they fill their spots, and then our not-for-profit would get scholarship programs. So I was heading to that scholarship program, and he's like, "What do you want to do with tennis?" And I said, "Oh, I want to go play the college tennis." And he said, "Oh, you're not going to be able to play college tennis." I was like, I don't even think he had a reason for me. He looked at the way I was playing and said, "You weren't going to play college tennis." And I wasn't the best there, but I was maybe third or fourth. And I'm like, well, why not? He said, "You play college tennis, I'll buy you sneakers." And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna play college tennis. So I ended up playing D2. And another thing he said to me was, I was going back and forth between switching to a one-hander and a two-hander. And he was like, "I don't think your one-hander is good enough, so it's still a two-hander." I end up listening to him. And then later that season, I'm like, you know what? It's not clicking. I can't produce enough power. I'm being passed. I'm dipping up to my slice anyway. So I might as well switch to a one-hander. Now you've seen my one-handed backhand. It is clean. It is one of the cleanest strokes I had. And that struggle, I think about that all the time because he had a one-handed backhand himself. His name was Jonathyn as well. And he always said to me, if you can't hit your one-handed backhand off the return of serve, there's no reason to have it. If you have to go to your slice, there's no reason to have it. I think about that every time I do my return of serve. So much so that if it's not working for me, I still won't slice unless I absolutely have to. And it's instilled in me to get to every ball with my one-handed backhand no matter what, unless I have to slice. So it actually helped me a lot. When I take into consideration now, I'm faster off my backhand side than my forehand side, which is why you see so much forehand videos. Because when I tell you that my forehand is my weaker side, it is true. It is in every element of it, right? When it comes to pace, spin, consistency, movement, I am weaker off the forehand side. And only because that I just remember like yesterday, you will not, when you get to college tennis, your backhand needs to change. Those two things stick with me all the time. And I'm like, I made it. I made it to college tennis. So when I hear like, oh, you're playing tennis again, or you're not going to do as well as you think you're going to do, or whatever the case may be, whatever the comments are coming, that's just fuel. That's just fuel. Oh, I can't wait to play you, to beat you. That's just fuel, right? That's just going to fuel me into doing better. So, because that's how it was growing up. I've done it before, so why can't I do it now?
Yeah, it's scooping the coals into the train, right? I mean, it's just igniting the fire. I love that. And Jonathyn, I got a couple more for you, man. Thinking about really this mission that you're on, and you had no idea that you were going to post the video and people were going to respond the way that they did, but they have. I just would love to hear from you. Like, if you're forecasting, that 1, 3, 5-year plan for you and how you would like to continue to impact lives, what does the future look like for you? And what are you looking to accomplish and inspire to because of the platform that you've been able to create?
I'll answer that on a personal level. By summer, I just want to start playing tournaments. Just want to be comfortable playing tournaments again. Go out there and beat a couple of people if I can. Win some things. You never know. Take it as far as I can at the age that I'm at. And then second is to meet people. Before this year, I wasn't a big traveler. Even going to the Atlanta Open last year opened my eyes. I want to go to a lot of 1,000 tournaments. A lot of them are close together, so it's kind of hard to get to all of them in the beginning of the year. But towards the end of the year, the Masters 1000s and some 500 level tournaments. And then next 3 years, Australian Open as a tennis player. Why not go, do that and then try to take it as far as I possibly can, right? With just the love of the sport, right? I post because I want to. I'm not posting because it's a job. It's not bringing me anything as of yet. I'm posting because I love the feedback and the positivity I'm putting out in the world. So why not do that in person? So I don't know when you're going to release it exactly, but in a couple of weeks I'm going down to Dallas and I'm going to join the program down there that brings people together of all different levels and play tennis, right? I'm going to go down there, show my face. Hopefully I meet a couple people down there and just continue this story of like my journey, vlogging a little bit. So, maybe look out for the vlogs, but really that is, I wouldn't say 3-year goal, but 2-year goal. travel a lot more, and then of course our personal journey, of course.
I love that. And I love that you're getting down to Dallas. Certainly quite the tennis mecca down there too. So I'm sure you're going to be well received. But, listen, I just absolutely love your impact on junior tennis players. I don't take that lightly because as coaches, I've mentioned this a few times, we're glorified seed planters. We're either planting seeds of positivity or we're planting seeds of people doubting themselves and negativity. And I truly believe it's one or the other every single day. And I want to put you on the spot, man. Being able to sit down with an inspiring junior out in Connecticut. Maybe they're sitting on the bench. They just had a tough tournament and didn't feel very good about themselves. And maybe they were just working with a coach that told them that they're not good enough. They want to play college tennis. And they said, not with that serve, not with that backhand. And they're just down in the dumps. And you have an opportunity, Jonathyn, based off of everything you've learned, to be able to sit down with this junior on the bench and give them some words of wisdom based off what you've experienced. I'd love for you to share with the listeners what you would say to that player and how would you lift them up?
First thing I would say is, what are you doing tomorrow? What are you doing tomorrow? And obviously they're gonna be like, what do you mean I just lost? I couldn't hit this forehand. I couldn't do that. I couldn't. And it's like, I hear a lot of I couldn't. All I ask you is, what are you doing tomorrow? Because tomorrow you're going to win, right? And then the next day you're going to lose. Losing is part of our game. If I had asked you after you won what you needed to work on, you'd be like, what do you mean I just won? If I ask you now, after all your frustrations are up, what do you need to work on? You're going to be focused on, I need a better forehand. I need a better backhand. Our coach used to tell us, you don't know what you need to work on until, you sit out there and lose. You learn more when you lose, right? So take this as a learning curve. You're going to see them again. You're going to see them again. Tournament is age tournament. You're going to see them again. You're going to be able to beat them only because you learn from your mistakes. So again, the question was, what are you doing tomorrow and how can we change this? That's it, right? Because you have to remind them that, hey, the train's still going, right? Life is still life. And no matter if you won or lost, you just treat it differently, right? And if you won, you should have the mindset of, what am I doing tomorrow? Because I need to move on to the next one and the next one until you get to your goals. So I've actually had that conversation many a times. I know you lost. I know it's a tough loss. What are you doing tomorrow?
Yeah, being able to help people learn rather than focus on losing. It's the flip of the L word. And if you can learn from those tough situations, that's how we get better. And it's not about getting 100% better every day. It's just about getting 1% better every day, right? And
exactly.
With that said, man, in closing, impossible's nothing. I've said it a few times in this podcast. What does that mean to you?
That means exactly what I'm doing now, right? My birthday was on Monday, February 10th. I just turned 32. Impossible's nothing. I've seen people my age do wonderful things. Not to say that I'm old. I'm just not as young as I used to be. And that's what that means to me. Impossible's nothing. It only looks like a delusion until it's not. Our whole society is brought off of what looked like a delusion until it wasn't, until it became reality. You think about any tennis player ever, it was a delusion until it became a reality, almost to where you didn't even know that, like, say a player like Medvedev was on the tour forever before he became top four. Forever. I didn't know this guy existed until he became top four. And that's the greatest thing about our sport. And society, really. You can do anything you want.
Hey, there's going to be a lot of listeners inspired by your episode. Would love to know, as a BTB community, how can we support XXL Tennis and your mission?
That was a good question. I honestly have no idea. You know what? Just get on the tennis court, Maybe I'll record your journey and then talk to me. That's really it. Let me know you're around, and I'll love to meet anyone one day here.
Love it, man. Well, hey, unbelievable story. Such a wonderful time connecting. A lot of synergy between you and I. I'm just glad that we can be privileged to be on a platform to where we can go help a lot of people. So, Jonathyn, aka XXL Tennis, thank you so much for joining me today on the BTB Project.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. And I understand you are also, I believe I need to come visit. Let's just say that. I need to come visit. I have a lot of people down there. Love to hit with you. So one day we're going to make that happen and record that. How about that?
Hey, man, 2 one-handed backhands just gleaming its glory on the tennis court. I'd be honored to do that. Let's make it happen, and we'll get a post going, all right?
All right. Sounds great. Sounds great.
Appreciate you.
Such an inspirational conversation with XXL Tennis. And as I think back through the interview, I was so appreciative of his humility and ability to take adversity in his life and channel that into not only his personal goals, but to give back to the nonprofit community, to give back to kids and adults to enjoy the game of tennis the way that he did, but to still provide a moment in their lives to where that they can have hope, have encouragement, and to see what's possible. Being able to understand that impossibility is a delusion was a tremendous takeaway for me in the episode. XXL's ability to see outside of the box and to tap into his curiosity components to go after his goals, dreams, and ambitions is going to impact anybody that tuned in. Listen, if XXL's tennis interview impacted you, do me a favor and like and subscribe to the BTB Project. Better yet, send this message to a family member, friend, or colleague and give them a few clips or tidbits of the conversation. It's this BTB community and coming together is where we're impacting lives and living out the true understanding that impossible is nothing. As always, I'm proud of each and every one of you. And until next time, take care.